The Future, 343-3806.
Voice remote requires internet-connected hopper. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Someone will come in, they'll have a noise under the hood, and we'll go out and take a look at it. We can determine by the type of noise, and usually if we can determine where it's coming from, we can direct them to the piece that has failed. My name is Dick Lemke. Working at Sturtevant's as long as I have, it's definitely become my career. When you need someone to help solve the problem, start with a Sturtevant's store near you.
STURTVANTS, come and see Sturtevant's. Has it Sturtevant's?
All right, we know there are a lot of diets out there, but there is one plan here in Rapid City that's different. Profile by Sanford in Rapid City works with you to create a custom meal plan based on your goals, your health, and your personal preference. You follow the plan, you lose weight, and being healthy is the number one goal. I've done it, and I love the personal coaching. Profile by Sanford is different. Get a free consultation. Be your best with Profile by Sanford. Visit profileplan.com.
I started doing it once in a while, just for fun in the car with my friends. And yeah, I knew it was deadly, even illegal, but I didn't care. I remember looking down, and she was crossing the street, and I saw her just before I killed her.
Addiction has many faces. Texting and driving when you know it's life-threatening and illegal can be one of them. Take back control. Put the phone down.
Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety, the South Dakota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City. This is the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
And here's what you need to know.
On Monday evening football, the Raiders scored first in Cleveland.
From the gun, quick lob over the top. Edwards reaches up and grabs it. Touchdown! Jackpot, baby!
Brent Musburger the call on KRLV. The Raiders have a 7-0 lead over the Browns. 6:14 left to play in the second quarter. Cleveland quarterback Nick Mullins has completed 8 out of 10 passes for 40 yards. The Kansas City Chiefs have placed tight end Travis Kelce, cornerback Charvarius Ward, and place kicker Harrison Butker on the COVID list. The Patriots put receiver Kendrick Bourne on the COVID list. The Lions placed quarterback Jared Goff on the COVID list. The Ravens placed linebacker Justin Houston on the COVID list. The Los Angeles Chargers placed 7 players, including star pass rusher Joey Bosa and starting center Corey Linsley on the COVID list. The Giants shutting down quarterback Daniel Jones for the rest of the season because of a neck injury. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
It's time for the only live and local sports talk show in the Black Hills. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, live interviews, and local sports. Exclusively on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City. And streaming online right now at foxsportsrapidcity.com. From the biggest national names to the hottest local stories, welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Well, good Monday afternoon. Welcome in. It's always a great day in the Black Hills. We know that, and we are glad to be back. Hope you had a solid weekend. The Nate Brown Show is live. South Dakota Sports Talk Show. High Energy Monday. Let's bring it a little bit. Christmas week, so we're not going to be on too long. We got the new Christmas graphics up on the YouTube stream, the Twitter stream, so we're gold there. And South Dakota Sports Talk Show packed, so we'll get after it on a Monday. It's Monday Night Football with the Vikings tonight, Vikings-Bears. We will get a preview coming up with Chris Shadd, Vikings writer, zone coverage straight ahead. A lot to get to. The Nate Brown Show brought to you in part by Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center here in Rapid City since 1976, taking care of the elite athlete to the weekend warrior. The best bone, joint, and muscle care in the Black Hills. You have a choice, and it's Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center with the best team. More options, better access. BHOSC.com. Learn more there. Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center now with urgent care. The Nate Brown Show on a Monday featuring Chris Shadd. We talked that Vikings-Bears tonight. We'll get to it. Reaction from Denver with Doug Ottawa live, Mile High Sports, live from Denver, covering the game yesterday. We'll go NFL. A lot of interesting headlines across the NFL, just across the board. National NFL writer for the Sporting News, Vinny Iyer's going to drop in. And Matt Zimmer tonight made the long trip up to Bozeman, Montana. The Jackrabbits FCS semifinal against Montana State didn't go as planned. Jackrabbits fall in the semis. Matt Zimmer was there live. What's the reaction? And some news coming out of Jackrabbit football today. Not a stunner or anything, but a couple of pretty big headlines with that program. Matt Zimmer, Argus leader, Jackrabbits beat writer, he's on tap. And we'll get to Alan Bertram, Rapid City Central girls basketball. They get a big win Saturday night at Rapid City Stevens. We'll talk to Coach Bertram on the way. Your sports, your show, the best local sports newsmakers and the biggest national names out of the gate. 720-1067 is our number. Join us on the program this Monday, 720-1067. The Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar Sports Line live. And also on the Barron's Wilson text line. It is open and ready. I've got it right here. Excuse me, 720-1067. The Barron's Wilson text line. You can join the show there. A couple of questions of the day. We will get to that. But first, just a quick reaction. Just a quick reaction from me about where I was starting to get drawn back in. I was starting to get drawn back into my Denver Broncos being in a playoff hunt. You know, if you listened to any parts of the show last week, I hope you did. If you listened to any parts of the show last week, nearly every day I was kind of thinking about this Broncos team saying, man, they're back in the playoff race, but it just doesn't feel like that. It just doesn't feel like that. I didn't sense the excitement. I didn't sense the excitement from Broncos country saying, yeah, this Broncos team, an excellent defense, and they might be able to get this done. I didn't sense it, and then it all comes to fruition yesterday with the maddening way that this team continues to underperform, and they've had one of the worst offenses you've ever seen in the NFL over the last 5 years. They just haven't been able to get anything done offensively. It's not a big secret. But I think this year, people thought, well, maybe it's just enough. Maybe there's just enough that they can stay in this because the schedule was favorable. Really, really easy schedule. Maybe it's just enough that Teddy Bridgewater's consistent, right? He's not going to be explosive. Steady Teddy. Remember that? Remember those words? We thought maybe it was just enough. All these factors come into play. And when it comes down to it, you just watched yesterday as the Broncos lose at home to the Cincinnati Bengals, who haven't been setting the world on fire lately. I will tell you, they have not been setting the world on fire, and they lose 15-10. I was getting brought into the Broncos could make a playoff push. Why isn't everybody excited? Did I jump the gun on letting go of Vic Fangio and this Broncos team that just is middle of the road? Maybe they can prove me wrong, and they fall flat. As a matter of fact, the Denver Broncos have the number 2 best scoring defense in the NFL. So, I mean, you see some of this excitement. You see the Broncos country there in Denver. My brother went to the game yesterday. He said it was pretty darn good, right? It was exciting, but he was frustrated beyond belief at the end of this thing because the defense keeps you in games. The defense keeps you there. They give up one TD that wasn't great, by the way, but it's like they've got to be perfect. It's like the defense has to be perfect because the offense is so subpar. As a matter of fact, the number 2 ranked defense of the Denver Broncos in points allowed. They're only behind the Patriots, just barely. The greatest defensive mastermind there is, you guys say, Bill Belichick and that whole defense. The Broncos are right behind them. Number 2 in the NFL. The offense is number 23 in points scored. Continues to just struggle along. And now the Broncos are faced with, what are they going to do the last 3 games? They're 7-7. I believe they are out of the race. There is a small percentage chance that they can try and make something happen. They don't own a lot of tiebreakers with some of these teams that are in front of them. So the Broncos are done. The Broncos are done. The fact of the matter is, what is going to be the scenario moving forward the rest of this season? Is it the Drew Lock time as Teddy went down with a concussion, went to the hospital last night? He got released this afternoon. Teddy Bridgewater, I hope, is going to be okay. Do you just roll with Drew Lock? It looks like against the Raiders this upcoming week, they will do that this week. They're going to go with Drew Lock. The scenario is, who is going to be with this Broncos team coming back? It's not going to be Teddy. I don't know about Drew. As a matter of fact, maybe as a backup. I don't know. Maybe. And it sure doesn't feel like it's going to be Vic. So the fact is, I didn't jump the gun. You know, I was trying to make sure I don't react so quickly. Don't go crazy like some of the people do and lose your mind that, well, the Broncos just aren't good enough and Vic Fangio's not good enough. I was trying to be careful with that, but I said weeks and weeks ago, it feels like Vic Fangio's on his last legs. I said the same thing about Mike Zimmer, and we shall see. You have another revival possibly tonight with Mike Zimmer and the Vikings. The Vikings tonight on Monday Night Football, if they win, they're in much, much better shape than the Broncos playoff-wise. I mean, much better shape. The AFC is packed with teams in front of them. The Broncos are done. They're done. The biggest stat you should remember today, Broncos fans, why there should be this frustration. Here's the scenario of how this has played out. Over the last 5 years, new coach. No, that didn't work. New quarterback. Try that. No, that didn't work again. New coach. Okay, now, well, we need another new quarterback. There's the fourth change. Now we need a new GM. Yes, John Elway. Okay, he's going to move upstairs a little bit further wherever he went. We need a new GM. And I'm here to tell you for 2022, it's going to be new coach and new quarterback. So we've had this carousel going, Broncos fans, of the frustration. New coach. Okay, this might help. Nope. New quarterback. Nope. New coach. Nope. New quarterback. Nope. Let's try both in 2022. You got to have it. Otherwise, you're going to continue this middling along, wasting great defenses, wasting great defensive years. Some of these guys wasting good years on the offensive side. Some of the younger guys. I mean, there's some guys now. Javonte Williams, the rookie running back, that guy's special. There's some guys here with the Broncos that can play. The roster isn't terrible. The quarterback spot has not been good enough over and over and over, and the offensive play calling has not been good enough over and over, and the Broncos have the number 2 ranked defense in the league, and they waste it with the number 23 ranked offense in the league. And now here's the stat. The Broncos are staring down at their third home losing season at Mile High in the last 4 years. You heard that. They're going to have a losing record at home for the third time in the last 4 years. That's unheard of. At Mile High in Denver, one of the best home field advantages you're going to see. Third home losing season, because they got the Chiefs coming up. I don't think that's going to go too well. Okay? Third home losing season for the Broncos at Mile High in the past 4 years. How many losing seasons did they have the previous 35 years? How many? 3. They're going to have 3 losing home seasons the past 4 years. In the previous 35, they had the same number. 3. This is the fault. This is the fall. This is where Broncos country isn't normally at. And something big's got to change, and it can't be trying to pick out that guy and that average quarterback, and maybe we'll give this coach a try. I'll tell you, George Payton, the new GM, this is the chance. This is the time. Broncos are out of this. We'll see what they do here. Drew Lock and the scenario the rest of the way. They're out of it. The plan now, you better get cranking on the new coach and the new quarterback. I don't care if the Broncos get to 9-8. I really don't. I really, really don't. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And there needs to be big changes to get back to where the Broncos should be. Not a 23 ranked offense in the league. Can't happen. By the way, tonight, I'm going to get into this. 720-1067. You can join the Nate Brown Show this Monday. Tonight, the Minnesota Vikings, they've got a chance now. I mean, this is wild. This is wild. The Vikings have a chance to get to 7-7. The revival of Mike Zimmer. And they need to beat the Bears because the Bears are totally depleted. You know that movie, The Replacements, right? I don't think I watched that. I don't think I watched that one. Keanu Reeves, right? The Replacements, that's the Bears tonight. They had 5 defensive starting backs last week. They're all out. Every one of them. The 5 starting defensive backs for the Bears last week, they're out tonight. So this is the story for the Vikings. Now, I told you the Broncos are gone. Yesterday it was the win or die deal. That's it. That's it. The Vikings tonight, really a similar situation. If they lose it, it's going to be a tough, tough road. They're not nearly as out of it as the Broncos are. If they win it, now they've all of a sudden secured the 7th playoff spot tonight with 3 games left. I'm telling you, they get the 7th spot tonight with a win. They get to 7-7, and you know who they're battling? You know who the Vikings are battling for a playoff spot? Vikings fans somehow are coming around on this. You should be realizing it's the Saints and it's the Washington football team. And I'm here to tell you, I know the Saints beat up the Buccaneers last night. Ugly game, but boy, a defensive effort like we haven't seen in a long time. The Saints I don't buy into. I'm not a buyer on the Saints and their limited offensive scenario with Taysom Hill. I mean, it is limited. So I'm not worried about the Saints. Surprising win last night. I'm not worried about them. And the Washington football team, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances there. And so we've got this whole situation where on a Monday night, you could get yourself back in the playoff hunt. And many people think if the Vikings get in there, they might have an explosive offense just enough to make things interesting. Here's my issue. I've said it. The defense is similar. You take the Broncos and the Vikings, Broncos and Vikings fans, you take those 2 teams and you flip them. Now we got a really good team. Vikings have one of the worst defenses in the league. They've got one of the better offenses in the league. Totally flipped from the Broncos scenario. The deal is this. If they can win tonight, they get to 7-7. They do get the tiebreaker over the Saints as of tonight. And you got to make sure, okay, let's keep an eye on things. You maybe don't have to win out here because you have the Packers down the road. You got the Rams. There's still some dicey games coming up. This is the one right here. I mean, you absolutely have to have it. Bears are toast. Bears are got a replacement team out there. And the Vikings have jumped to 7-point favorites. By the way, a stat I don't love. I don't like this. The Vikings are 5-15 at Soldier Field in the last 20 years. Oh, boy. 5-15 at Soldier Field in the last 20 years. You got the replacements out there tonight, so I'm hoping it may go a little bit better. Bears secondary's gone. They weren't very good as it is, and now all the guys are gone. The 5 guys that started last week are out. Vikings could revive themselves tonight and get right back in the playoff picture. I mean, it's amazing to see where the Vikings have been, the loss to the Lions, and some of the stuff that's really been a killer. The Vikings with the NFC playoff picture a little bit more helpful. The AFC side, the Broncos missed their chance yesterday, and I think that was the one. Whether there was other games before that, that was the one that I believe should have sealed the fate of Vic Fangio. It's too bad. I don't mind Vic. I like Vic. Great defensive coach. That's just not. He's just not getting it done. That's it. You need big changes. By the way, I got a question of the day I want to get at here. Question of the day I want to get at. If you watched this game last night, watch the Saints Buccaneers. I watched a lot of it. Okay, had a little Christmas festivities early on, then got home, watched a lot of it. And Tom Brady had one of his worst games you've seen. One of his worst games you've seen. Tom Brady shut out for only the 3rd time in his career. The 3rd time in his career. Tom Brady, no points. I mean, a struggle. The Saints have his number. I don't know what to tell you. The Saints have his number. That D coordinator has his number, and Tom Brady got really, really frustrated. As a matter of fact, was dropping the F-bomb to officials, ran over to the sideline of the Saints sideline and did the same thing after he threw his final pick. And I've got a question of the day. It looked like the officials were treating Tom Brady differently last night than other players would have been. I'm just going to ask you. You tell me. Tom Brady dropping the bomb to an official. It's about blank time when they called a pass interference late. It's about time. He yelled that a couple of times right at the official. You went over to the sideline of the Saints after the pick. I told you that one. Told the acting head coach, the D coordinator, blank. Okay. I ask you, should Tom Brady have been flagged last night? Should Tom Brady have been flagged last night for that? I want to know. He didn't get any. He did not get any. You tell me if a linebacker on the Saints did that to an official. I feel like a flag's coming out. I know things can get a little dicey. Things are said. But I see a lot of unsportsmanlike conduct thrown around. I see a lot of it. We're calling taunting penalties on some pretty little things these days. And then we see the F-bomb dropped. We see certain scenarios play out like that. You tell me, should Tom Brady have been penalized for his language toward the officials and the Saints coaching staff last night? Yes, it's an easy unsportsmanlike, or no, you can just let it go. You tell me. 720-1067, the Nate Brown Show question of the day. It looks like to me they treat Tom differently. It looked like it last night. I mean, he went off. He went off. He went psycho Tom there. He went off. Then on the sideline throwing tablets. I mean, when things don't go well, it reminded me why I have a tough time with Tom Brady. It reminded me why I have a tough time with Tom. 61% of you say you got to flag him. 61% of you say you got to flag him. 39% do not flag Tom Brady last night. 39%. You don't flag him for dropping the F-bomb to the officials? To the officials right in their face a couple of times? You don't you don't flag him? They were scared to flag him. Well, he's the greatest of all time. We can't do that. You got to be consistent. We got to have consistency. It shouldn't be Tom Brady gets this rule and other players get another rule. Dropping the F-bomb to the officials doesn't get a flag for 39% of the audience tonight. You got to flag him. You absolutely do. Let me hit this really quick. Listener text, when counting the Vikings' victory tonight, be sure to factor in how good Kirk Cousins is in primetime games. Kirk hasn't had a good time, right? He hasn't had a good time in primetime games. The Vikings themselves are 5-15 at Soldier Field since 2000. A lot of that's without Kirk, by the way. So the Vikings haven't played well at Soldier Field. I will tell you tonight, if the Vikings, it's interesting. I said yesterday's game sealed the fate, in my opinion, for Vic Fangio. I don't care if he gets to 9-8. The Broncos are missing the playoffs. That's where it had to be. That's where it had to be, and it had to be marked improvement on the offensive side. Didn't see it. Same story. Different quarterback, same story. Okay? Tonight, if the Vikings lose, that'll be the end of that road. Meaning for Mike Zimmer. He has been on the bubble, off and on all the time. Vikings somehow lose this tonight. That's a total disaster. I mean, you got to, this is a lock. This is an absolute lock for the Vikings. They need it. They got Rams coming up. They got Packers coming up, and the Bears again. Got to have it. Otherwise, that'll be the end of the road for Mike Zimmer as well. Coming right back here, Vinny Iyer with some reaction. National NFL writer, Sporting News. Are there different rules for Tom Brady? Should there be? Vinny Iyer live next.
You're listening to the only live and local sports talk show in the Black Hills, The Nate Brown Show, on Fox Sports RapidCity.com and live on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
At Terrell Tires in the Speed Center, we let our customers do the talking.
Very well-maintained tire and speed shop, over-the-top service, and very reasonably priced. Need I say more?
Scott and crew at Terrell Tires have always gone over and beyond for us. Great prices for great tires. Also, anytime we've needed odd-sized tires for ranch equipment, Scott gets us what we need.
Great customer service. Spent plenty of time answering all of our questions, and the truck looks awesome with the new rims.
Terrell Tires in the Speed Center, 105 North Campbell Street, Rapid City.
Are new windows from Renewal by Andersen a great investment? You're darn right they are. Did you know that for less than your cable bill or cell phone bill each month, you could have new windows from Renewal by Andersen right now? Do the math. Renewal by Andersen windows will likely cut your energy bills significantly. They will likely substantially increase the value of your home. They're a great investment. Please contact our team now and ask about our fantastic financing options with approved credit right now. Renewal by Andersen, a great investment? You're darn right.
Community Bank wants you to know that now may be the best time to refinance, purchase, or even build a brand new home. With rates this low, Black Hills Community Bank is well positioned to be your local partner. They are your home loans bank with local originators, underwriting, processing, and closings. They challenge themselves to close every loan on time. This may be the time to think about home ownership or refinancing with Black Hills Community Bank in Rapid City and Spearfish. Online at bhcbank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Get away from it all in the great outdoors for lasting family memories with a new or pre-owned RV from Dakota Discount RV. We make your RV experience fun and easy by providing you with a quality recreational vehicle, competitive pricing, and professional sales and service. Our large inventory of fifth-wheelers, travel trailers, toy haulers, and live-in horse trailers allows us to save our customers thousands of dollars compared to most dealers. Stop by and see us at Dakota Discount RV, 3330 East Mall Drive across from Cabela's and on JB Road, Blackhawk.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hey, welcome back in. Just getting started on a Monday, the Nate Brown Show, live South Dakota Sports Talk Show. A lot to get to. We'll talk Vikings Bears specifically tonight. Vikings Rider Zone coverage. Chris Shadd covering the game tonight. Chris Shadd coming up. Soldier Field tonight. Vikings have struggled, no doubt. Kirk Cousins, I was told, struggles in primetime. Okay. I'll take the Vikings, and this one should be pretty easy, okay? This should be pretty easy. You got the replacements out there for the Bears. Some practice squad guys that are going to try and make a name for themselves. That's a little dicey to me. People always overlook that motivation. But I'll take the Vikings. You got to have it. You absolutely have to have it. Broncos didn't get it yesterday. That was a big, big loss. And I think 3 weeks from now, you'll be seeing Vic Fangio losing his position. I believe that. Vinny Iyer's on tonight, national NFL analyst and writer, sportingnews.com. Vinny's on Twitter at Vinny Iyer, and he's here on the Nate Brown Show. Vinny, thanks for the time. How are you?
Good. Doing well, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate your time tonight. Let me ask you about something. I watched that game last night, Saints and Bucks, and Tom Brady gets shut out for only the third time in his entire career. The last time he got shut out to no points was in 2006. I mean, it was a rough go. He got really frustrated, dropped some F-bombs and everything else to the officials, and it looked like to the coaches on the sideline for the Saints. Should he have been penalized for that? Would most players get penalized for that, Vinny?
Well, I think it's the Phillip Rivers rule of frustration. I mean, you've seen it a lot. I mean, Phillip Rivers didn't really get penalized. I don't think they consider that taunting necessarily, and I don't know if older players get a free pass, but they probably do, that have been around the league and are established versus a young player doing that. So it was definitely a breakdown for Tom Brady. I think it's just frustrating that he cannot figure out this team for 2 straight regular seasons. He did win in the playoffs, so he's probably happy about that, and probably that was his thing is, okay, we'll probably not see this team in the playoffs, and we're going to be fine going forward. So, look, it was frustrating. When you lose your 2 top receivers there and you lose your running back. These are all key components of your passing game, and you're trusting all youngsters to get it done. And the pass rush is coming at you, and you can't really run the ball. That's what's going to happen, and that's what happened there in the game. And it's going to be frustrating those nights when you suddenly expect a lot of good things, and then everything gets taken away from you.
I want to ask you how good you think the Buccaneers really are. I mean, they're good. A lot of people had them in the NFC being the team to beat. Where do you see them now compared to a team like the Packers?
Well, I think just like last year, we probably felt the Packers were the strongest team as the number one seed with their 13 wins, and looks like the same thing is going to play out. It's the execution in those close games. So once you get the tournament, everything kind of resets. We know that. Is that home field, it does help a little bit. The bye week does help a little bit, maybe with that first game. But in terms of getting all the way to the Super Bowl, you still have to win a couple games and get to the championship game where no one has a bye week. So that's the thing. Is like, how do you play well in the tournament? Are you going to be at full strength there? Teams are going to be lining up to make sure that they have the best possible rosters with which to compete then. So the Bucs, I think, will probably take it easy. They do have the Panthers, Jets, and Panthers, so you figure they can win out with that schedule, even if they're careful with a lot of their players and hope like a lot of these guys just come back when it's turn their playoffs. That's where the bye week helps. If you need an extra week to get someone ready, but we saw last year that they needed some time, and they still played through it and won. So, again, it all resets with Tom Brady in the playoffs, and that's where you have to look at it.
Vinny Iyer on tonight, NFL Writer, Sporting News. I want to go to another bad performance. The Cardinals get beat by the Lions. What's the real story here with the Cardinals?
That was just a tough way. That was just a tough way for the Cardinals to lose. I mean, they didn't look very good at all. Like, it wasn't just a fluky thing where the Lions kind of edged them on a last-second field goal. It was legitimately a beatdown. It was a wire-to-wire beatdown for the Lions. So that's concerning if you're the Cardinals. Maybe they've overachieved. I don't think it's a maybe. They've definitely overachieved. The good news for them is they'll still make the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, and that itself is a good accomplishment, finishing what they thought they were going to do last year, but then Kyler Murray got hurt late. So they have an opportunity. I think their offense is going through a bit of a slump here, figuring out what their identity is. Are they a running team? Are they a passing team? Are they a little bit of both? Do they have to run Kyler Murray more? And where's their defensive identity? Are they wholly dependent on playing with leads and teeing off in the pass rush and playing in the secondary, or can they stop the run when it counts? So a lot of things to watch there with the Cardinals, who are fading pretty fast. Now they got to worry about the Rams, maybe a little bit about the 49ers, the way they're playing. So the Cardinals might still win this division. They don't feel great about their chances. They're not a very good home team. We also know that as well. So if they get into number 4, is it going to be quickly done in a rematch with the Rams? So that's what you're concerned about, just like what happened with the Seahawks last year.
Okay, Vinny, give me your breakdown here. I got Vikings-Bears tonight. I just said it in my monologue there. Vikings win. They're 7-7. Mike Zimmer revival, all of a sudden, the Vikings have the 7th seed at that point. I know there's 3 games left, but they win the tiebreaker with the Saints right now. The teams they're battling for with that is the Saints, the Washington football team, and the Eagles. Do you like the Vikings' chances?
I think they're about as even as the Saints and these other teams, to be honest, because I don't know what you're going to get week to week. They also have to turn around and play the Rams next week, which is going to be difficult for the Vikings. So we'll see how that plays out. I mean, it helps a little bit with some of the matchups they have inside the division, but they've had a lot of close games. This is a must-win game for them against Chicago. They can't mess around, look ahead. But I also think beating the Rams is important. I think you don't want to get in the playoffs at like 9-8. You want to really push it to 10 wins to feel good about it. I mean, they have a chance here. I think 4 games left to get to that mark if they can run the table. And I think the Vikings have proved that they're that good of a team when they're on. So, look, it's all right in front of them. If they can win out, they're going to be in. They can be dangerous. We know that. They can score a lot of points if everyone's healthy and cause some problems potentially for that number 2 seed if they can get in. So, yeah, if it was a Cowboys-Vikings rematch, you'd probably feel good about that going into it, that maybe you can win this time around there, even if Dak Prescott's in with Cooper Rush winning the first matchup. So it's all about getting in, getting the tournament. It all resets. You have a shot.
Let me ask you, are we in a dangerous zone here with COVID just hammering teams? The Bears tonight, all 5 of their secondary starters are out. All 5 guys that started last week are out. They're bringing 8 players off the practice squad up tonight. Are we in a danger zone of the integrity of the game with some of this COVID problems with a lot of these teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you adapt and survive, and you have to adjust to different things that develop during the course of the season. The teams that do that well, and that includes injuries, the natural course of injuries that you have over a longer season, are going to be better off. So I think what teams have to realize is just go for the long game. You're just trying to get there and go in. And in some cases with the Bears, you're not worried as much because they're not a playoff team. They're just trying to put together a run here at the end of the season. So I think it's fine. I think these leagues have just underestimated this new wave here, and they're trying to catch up to it and understand it, and also be reasonable about the way they let players not play. So it's very tricky. It's a hard thing to navigate. I mean, I'm remarkably amazed that they got through an entire 2020 season. It looks like they'll probably get through another 2021 season. I mean, it is a remarkable accomplishment with that many players and teams, vaccinated, unvaccinated, all these issues they're dealing with, that they can still make it work.
Is Aaron Rodgers the leader in the clubhouse now in the MVP race for you?
Well, to me, I think it's still Tom Brady with the numbers if you compare them side by side, despite what happened recency bias last week and the last couple of weeks. Brady's still the guy because I think it's a bit of a makeup call from last year in the playoffs, and Rodgers already won it last year, so they kind of like to spread the wealth with these awards. So it's more of a narrative to me than an award, but is that narrative totally being taken over by Jonathan Taylor? If he can get to, just say, 2,200 to 2,300 yards from scrimmage when it's all said and done in the last 3 weeks, if they can become a strong playoff team, if he can score like a good 23 to 25 touchdowns, all of a sudden you're looking at where are the Colts without Jonathan Taylor? In a really bad spot. So if you're going to define MVP, I think you look at, we've seen the Packers without Rodgers in a game. It was pretty ugly this year, so we know how valuable he is to them. And Brady, who knows where the Bucs would be? I think they would be that Jameis Winston team from 2 years ago without Brady. So we kind of have evidence of what those teams would be. Without Taylor, I think the Colts, would be pretty lost this season. So he's gaining some steam, but he's got to put up those massive numbers there. I think the 2,300 and 23 touchdowns, then you'll have a chance.
Okay, Vinny Iyer, NFL writer, sportingnews.com. Find him on Twitter at Vinny Iyer. Finally, on the AFC side, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I mean, it just felt like, well, they started so rough. The Chiefs are the number one seed now in the AFC. What do you say about how dangerous they are?
Well, it might be over now, given the state of the AFC. I mean, the Titans are not playing that well. They're pretty limited. We know the Patriots are limited. We know the Bills are limited. We know the Ravens are limited at this point. They might not even win the division. The Bengals are a young team. The Chargers are a young team. Who's going to challenge the Chiefs? Someone's going to really have to go on a run. Maybe it's the team they just played last week on Thursday night, the Chargers, if they can face them one more time. So, hey, maybe the Chargers will be even gone by the time the Chiefs step on the field in the playoffs because they're headed to the number one seed. So Kansas City's not going to let that go. The schedule's too favorable. They're going to keep it, make the playoffs go through Arrowhead. If that's the case, I just don't like the way any of these other teams are playing overall. Funny enough, it might be the Colts and Jonathan Taylor and that weather and running maybe gives them an opportunity to win a game there. But everyone else right now, the momentum looks pretty bad.
Vinny Iyer on tonight on a Monday. Vinny, always good to get you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Nate.
Appreciate it. Vinny Iyer tonight, NFL writer, Sporting News, as we recap the NFL season, or the NFL week. I should say it's still going on. Big one tonight, Vikings, Bears. Of course, the Raiders right now and the Browns. Raiders are up at the half, 10-0. Raiders up at the half right now, 10-0 on that rescheduled game. The Browns are a mess with the COVID situation as well. And that's interesting. You know, everybody wishes it was over, including myself. And, COVID's hitting this guy, that guy, this guy. I mean, it's a total disaster. And the Browns are down. No Baker Mayfield. No Case Keenum. They got to go with Nick Mullins, the third stringer. They don't have their head coach. I mean, this is just, teams are just reeling. So this is all factoring into what else are you going to do? I mean, what else can you do? You got to try and move games. You got to bring guys up. You got to fill roster spots. We remember last year when my Broncos played with a guy who hadn't played quarterback since college. And he was a converted wide receiver then, right? He hadn't played since like his freshman year. Made him play, right? Made him play. So we're back in this scenario where guys are going down left and right from the COVID mess. And you got the Browns right here trying to be in a playoff race. They're down 10-0 to the Raiders, who have not looked good. Then tonight, the Bears are totally depleted. Totally depleted. They got 8 guys off the practice squad tonight. 8 guys. 5 in the secondary are out. There are 5 starters in the secondary. They're gone. They're gone. Their whole nickel package gone. And so the Vikings should be ready to roll. Vikings have had some issues there, but not as bad as some of the others as of late. Tonight, the Vikings, Bears, and the Mike Zimmer Revival Tour could be on. The Vic Fangio, I don't think there is a Revival Tour. A lot of Broncos fans have been done with Vic. I tried hanging in. I did. I tried hanging in, and I couldn't do it, right? I couldn't do it. Got to get to Doug Ottawell live next.
From high school to college to the pros, this is the Nate Brown Show on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
Happy Honda Days. We have a special gift for you. We have as low as 0% on some of our most popular models. That's right. You could be driving a...
Are new windows from Renewal by Andersen a great investment? You're darn right they are. Did you know that for less than your cable bill or cell phone bill each month, you could have new windows from Renewal by Andersen right now? Do the math. Renewal by Andersen windows will likely cut your energy bills significantly. They will likely substantially increase the value of your home. They're a great investment. Please contact our team now and ask about our fantastic financing options with approved credit right now. Renewal by Andersen, a great investment? You're darn right.
With us since 1949. And remember to follow all of our auctions in 2022. Go to McPhersonAuction.com.
Sports betting is off to a great start in Deadwood and our exclusive home for every game. We love it. The new BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzie. Fox Sports Rapid City is proud to partner with the best sportsbook with the best service and the biggest games. If you haven't signed up for the sports betting email list, you want to do it. You can get match bonuses, expert wagering tips, and more. Just visit tinlizzie.com. Take your friends and experience the new BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzie, right there on Main Street in Deadwood.
Attention shoppers and sports fans. You can get $200 when you open a qualifying checking account with Highmark Credit Union. Now that's great checking, and just in time for the holiday season. So open your new checking account at Highmark before January 31st and receive $200 deposited into your account. Call, stop by, or drive through any Highmark Credit Union branch to learn more. Visit highmarkfcu.com. Highmark Credit Union. We'll make it happen. There can be no doubt, losing a loved one is always difficult. At O. Simon Schmidt Funeral Home, we strive to meet your emotional needs with compassion, kindness, and understanding. The caring staff at O. Simon Schmidt Funeral Home recognizes the importance of celebrating a life that was lived with dignity, respect, and professionalism, serving local families in their special time of need for generations. O. Simon Schmidt Funeral Home, Rapid City. Phone 343-0077 or visit osimschmidt.com.
Hey renters in the Black Hills, I'm State Farm Agent Scott Carlson, and I'm ready to surprise you in a good way with surprisingly great rates on auto and renter's insurance. That's right, me and my team can help you protect your car and your stuff for less than you might think. Get a quote and see how much you can save. You might be surprised. Call me, State Farm Agent Scott Carlson, for your surprisingly great auto and renter's rate today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hi, this is Dan Patrick. Remember to catch me weekday mornings from 7 until 10 a.m. right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 a.m. Fox Sports Rapid City. And now, back to Rapid City's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
Welcome back in. That's a Matt Kearney selection right there. I don't like playing Christmas music on this program. I'm not a Scrooge. Matt Kearney says, hey, we're going to put some Christmas decorations up on the live stream, and he does a great job there. And he said, yeah, you got to play some Christmas music coming back in. All right. The Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Rapid City. I got to have some Christmas cheer sometime. I mean, I was walking around last night with my kids. We went and looked at all the lights. Storybook Island do an outstanding job. I needed some cheer last night after that debacle in Denver. What a mess that was. My brother called me and he said, hey, I got a ticket, man. We're right there, first level, really, really good seats. Come on down from Rapid City. I go, I got some youth basketball stuff going on, and so I can't make it. And boy, that would have been fine. Great times with my brother, my nephew, great times. But what a mess these games are. What a mess these games are. The Broncos are on the verge of a losing record at home for the third time in the last 4 years. You never thought you'd see it as a Broncos fan when it gets like that at Mile High. Doug Ottewill covering it, milehighsports.com. Mile High Sports Magazine editor. Broncos, let's talk Broncos with Doug. He's here on the Nate Brown Show. Doug, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I first got to say, it's not just Christmas music. That was a Griswold Christmas vacation music.
Oh, yes, that's quality.
That's
Only the best. Only the best.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have let in with Silent Night or something like that, I'm kind of with you. But the Griswolds, like
Yes.
that's sports talk radio right there.
I got you. Here we go. Yesterday. Here we go. I said this weeks and weeks ago, and some of my listeners pushed back and they said, don't be overreactionary. Don't be pulling the trigger too quickly. And, they say, don't do that, meaning about Vic Fangio. I've felt just the way this season has gone, it's not good enough. It's too inconsistent. Blowout at home from the Raiders, blowout at home from the Eagles, beat by the Bengals. Not a blowout, but a key game, and you can only get 10 points on the board. It's just not good enough for me. I think Vic has had it, but I wonder what the real story will be in 3 weeks.
That's a good question, because if you'd have asked me before this game, I would have said Vic Fangio is probably going to stay. And now that they had another loss, and it's never just about the loss, it's how they lose that I think has people up in arms again today.
Yeah, I think you're right, Doug, right? I mean, you said before, it was like, well, Vic's defense is really, really good. They're close here in some games. Maybe they get to 9-8 and just miss out on the playoffs. He might be back. I don't know.
I think the best, long term, the best thing that could happen for this organization is that they miss the playoffs this year and they go a different direction. The problem is that I'm positive that they've resigned themselves to going a different direction next year already with Pat Shurmur. There's no way you can bring this offense back in terms of the coordinator and the plan, whatever. And same with Tom McMahon, special teams coach. So there's no way you bring either one of those back. And I think the prevailing kind of notion a week ago was most likely what would happen is the organization, George Payton, would go to Vic Fangio and say, hey, look, we're going to keep you, but you've got to hire a different offensive coordinator and special teams coach. And if you don't, then you got to go out with them. So I kind of was buying into that too and thinking that might be the conversation. But, when you lose like you lose on Sunday, and it's not just that they don't score points. I mean, that's obviously a Shurmur thing that it keeps reiterating part of the problem. But I think almost every one of the games that they lost, and even some that they win, you can point to at least a couple of Vic Fangio clock mismanagement situations or Vic Fangio strategic blunders that didn't work out. I mean, the fact that they were sort of trying to, milk all the clock down and take a field goal instead of trying to score a touchdown at the end of the first half came back to bite them because they didn't really do it properly either way. They didn't get the field goal.
Disaster.
And they didn't run the clock down. And then the use of the last timeout was also pretty bad. It left them with no time on the clock. So he doesn't learn. These things just never get better. So if I'm George Payton, I'm saying, hey, look, we got a pretty good defense. How do we keep the defense as good as it is right now, because it's pretty darn good, and move on in terms of this staff? Because Vic Fangio, as a defensive coordinator, is literally the only positive that's coming of this staff, but not as a head coach.
The timeout at the end yesterday, Broncos needed to get the ball back. The clock stopped, and then I think it would have been wound. I think it would have been going, but you would have been able to get it stopped with the 2-minute warning and save a timeout, right? But instead he used it.
Yeah.
Explain that whole scenario, because it did cost him. I don't think Drew would have let him down anyway, but it cost him a lot of time there with the timeout being gone.
Yeah, I mean, probably, 30, 40 seconds? He answered a question in the post-game press conference, which I don't fully understand the answer to. He said something about having used a timeout, and the official told him a certain thing about using the timeout when there was an injury and whether or not it would carry. I mean, it made no sense to me, and forgive me, because there probably is a legitimate explanation, or at least what he was trying to explain. But from every vantage point, it looked like he just blew it and didn't use his timeouts right. It's infuriating.
By the way, as you said, that's not just a one-off or a two-off. There's been some themes there, and a lot of Broncos country has seen this going back to the beginning. Broncos lose yesterday. Teddy Bridgewater goes down. He's out now. It's for the Raiders game. We're going to see Drew Lock the rest of the way. I would doubt that. People are like, oh, I guess you'll just roll with Drew the rest of the way. No, I think they'll just roll with Drew Lock when they have to. I think Teddy's going to be back. I just don't know if there'll be a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this coaching staff would literally jump through as many hoops as possible to make sure that Teddy's your starter in any given scenario. I mean, unless he's just unhealthy to play, and I'm not saying that they would put him out there if he was in danger, but I do think that they would explore every possible avenue as opposed to just going, yeah, we're just going to go with Drew. For whatever reason, they have soured on Drew Lock to the point where he is literally emergency-only situations. I mean, they don't like him. They don't trust him. I mean, and to some extent, there's some merit to that. However, Teddy Bridgewater didn't get the Broncos into the red zone once. Drew Lock got him there twice. Once he scored and once he did, a boneheaded play. But
it was close. I'm telling you, he threw the only touchdown, and that was a bad play. But he was on the verge of maybe throwing a game winner there, more than the Broncos offense had done all game.
Exactly, and the other part of it is, all right, you've got a quarterback who isn't maybe as familiar with things or whatever. Why is Pat Shurmur calling an RPO there that even gives his quarterback a chance to get hit down there? I mean, it's just sort of like, man, you're not setting the kid up to do, and he made the mistake. I mean, you can't hide that, but you're not setting the kid up for success. You're not giving him a play that's going to, guarantee a good shot at the end zone or at the very least field goal.
I'll tell you, Doug Ottewill on tonight, milehighsports.com, talking Broncos. Find him on Twitter at @DOttewill here on the Nate Brown Show. So they've got 3 games left, Chiefs, Raiders this week, and Chargers still. So I look at it, how many games do they win? I predicted going into the season they would be 7-10. I think they'll be a little better than that, but I don't think by much. I don't think they'll beat the Chiefs. I don't think they'll get the Chargers. I really don't. So I'm going to take them to 8-9. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think they have a good chance to beat the Raiders, especially the Raiders aren't playing well. Plus, they're already griping about having one less day to prepare because of the COVID change in schedule. So if I'm just going game by game, I say they beat the Raiders. They don't beat the Chargers on the road because the Chargers are going to have a lot to play for, and the Chargers are a really pretty good team. I mean, yeah, Denver got them at home, but I just don't see that as one of those things where they go 2-0 against that team on the year. And then the Chiefs are arguably one of the hottest teams in football right now. So, and the Chargers really aren't behind. Obviously, they just lost to them in overtime this week. So both of those teams strike me as teams that are kind of peaking at the right time. And they're, the Chiefs are at home, but I don't see the Chiefs coming to Denver and losing. Not with anything on the line for either one of those teams.
So if they lose to the Chiefs in Denver, Doug, I just pointed this out. That's another losing record at home. They don't have losing records at home. The previous 35 years, they had 3 losing records at home. The last 4 years, they've had 3 years of losing records at home. I mean, this is the sign of things are really, really not good. They don't lose at home.
No, and to me, that's the thing that, George Payton, whether he has a lifelong history with this town and this organization or not, in my opinion, has to look at that and say, if I don't do something, I'm redefining the standard in Denver in a worse way. I mean, everybody talks about, well, what would Mr. B have done? Mr. B fired Wade Phillips when he was, had a winning record. Mr. B fired Mike Shanahan after a 500 season and not having a losing record just because he didn't make the playoffs 3 years in a row. I mean, the standard has fallen so far already that if you accept this, if you accept a losing season, especially if you lose like they are at home, I mean, you're just saying, the Denver Broncos aren't what the Denver Broncos used to be, and it's just a fact, which, granted, they're not as good as what they were in John Elway or Peyton Manning or any of those things, but no one's ever put up with this kind of futility for this period of time before.
Okay, so it feels like this, Doug. It really does. Let's say they go 8-9. They might go 7-10. I'm not saying they can win at Las Vegas either. I'm not so sure about that, but the Broncos in 2022, to me, new coach, new QB, and I feel like Broncos country wants to see that, both.
Oh, 100%. I really do. The one thing that, you worry about is that everybody says, oh, Vic Fangio's really got this defense is permanent. If he just had an OC and a special teams guy and a quarterback, then they'd be in business. Well, okay, yeah, but, I can't help but think, and I wrote my column today, if you want to have a defense that, remains good, bring in Wade Phillips and go hire a young hotshot offensive-minded head coach. I mean, Wade Phillips could take this defense to do exactly what he's done for multiple organizations, take a good defense and keep them on track or maybe even improve them. And who knows if that's a viable solution, but I mean, in my mind, that's the only reason you keep Vic Fangio is if you say, oh, well, we don't want this defense to take a step back. It's so good now. Well, they're good, but they're not. They can't make a stop when they have to, and they give up a big play when they can't. So I look at all that on Fangio and say, yeah, he's overall a very good defensive-minded head coach, but he hasn't had it built a defense that's so good that it overcomes the ineptitude of the offense, which is a big hurdle. But
it is. It is.
You can't bring him back. I mean, you can't. I don't know if you do. I think you're losing fans left and right, going, what are we doing here?
It's a wild 24 hours because you and I talked. We were saying, well, if they get to 9-8 and they saw some improvements here and they just miss out on the playoffs, Vic might be back. Pat Shurmur won't. And then you just go get a new OC and a new quarterback. I feel like things are fading still with Vic Fangio. I said it early, and I'll stick with it, but we shall see. It's going to be up to George Payton in the last 3 weeks with how the team plays. Doug Ottewell on tonight, milehighsports.com. Doug, always good, man. Thanks.
Hey, keep that Christmas music rolling.
All right.
Talk to you later, Nate.
All right, I appreciate that. Doug with the endorsement. I like it. Doug Ottewell tonight, milehighsports.com, Broncos writer, live from Denver. He says you can't bring him back. You can't bring him back. So interesting how the season has developed. Vikings fans have told me you can't bring Mike Zimmer back. Now the Vikings are in a Monday Night Football game tonight where they should beat the Bears. It shouldn't be even a question. And then the Vikings are in the playoff race as good as anybody. As good as anybody. Now the Broncos are pretty much out of it. And that goes to show you how quickly things can turn. It looked like the Broncos trending up. A home game against the Bengals. This is winnable. And a 15-10 swimming through oatmeal grinder. And Broncos country, they're out for Vic. They're out for Vic. And I tried hanging in there. I've tried hanging in there saying maybe I'm overreacting. I don't think so. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. Coming back, Vikings, Bears tonight. Covering the game, Chris Schad. ZoneCoverage.com. Bring me the news. Vikings and Bears. Why do the Vikings struggle at Soldier Field? I mean, they struggle at Soldier Field. And what happened to their starting cornerback? A starting DB cut this weekend. Talk to Chris Schad next.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, streaming live at FoxSportsRapidCity.com and right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
At Ace Steel and Recycling in Rapid City, our goal is to make recycling your materials so quick, so easy, and so profitable that you'll become a lifetime recycler. At Ace Steel and Recycling, we buy, process, and ship scrap iron, automobiles, stainless steel, and aluminum, including cans and cast. We also buy insulated wiring, as well as copper, brass, lead, batteries, zinc, and tungsten carbide. Visit acesteelusa.com or give us a call at 342-8649. Ace Steel and Recycling, 2830 Eglin Street, Rapid City.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
Here at Pizza Ranch, we love the unique ways other countries compliment their chefs. In France, they say magnifique. In Italy, delizioso. And in many parts of the world, it's a compliment to belch. Don't try that at home, kids. But at Pizza Ranch, we keep hearing the same thing over and over again when guests bite into our pizza. Mmm. Our famous chicken. Mmm. And all the favorites on our buffet. Mmm. We're beginning to think you're all trying to tell us something. We'll take that as a compliment. Pizza Ranch. Mmm.
One of the best attributes of a trust is that you get to say how you want things to happen.
I think that is one thing we set ourselves apart in, is really getting to know people.
We get really involved with people as far as what their needs are and what their family is like.
In the end, it's all about our clients, our customers. It's about how we can make things best for them. They aren't a number, they're a person. Pioneer Bank and Trust is local.
Scratch tickets, scratch tickets, scratch tickets, scratch tickets, scratch tickets. The South Dakota Lottery knows you're getting flooded with over-the-top holiday shopping ads. Scratch tickets, scratch tickets, scratch tickets, scratch tickets. So we'll just give you a subtle reminder that our holiday scratch tickets are easy, affordable, and jolly good fun for everyone on your list. So, if it crosses your mind, give holiday scratch tickets from the South Dakota Lottery this year.
Everyone gets scratch tickets.
Good fun. Must be 18 to play. Please play responsibly.
Hi, it's Colin Coward. Great to be in the Black Hills. Getting the herd weekdays 10 to 1 on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports.
Hey, welcome back in. A Monday on the Nate Brown Show, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, live on Fox Sports Rapid City, 106.7 FM, 1150 AM. Thanks for checking in on the radio. You can watch us on YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. We're live right now on YouTube. Also on your phone on Twitter, at Nate Brown Show. The live stream up and running. Christmas decorations on the live stream, courtesy of producer Matt Kearney. He's solid. He is solid with that. Follow us on Twitter, at Nate Brown Show. You'll see the guest lineup, the podcast, all the interviews there at Nate Brown Show. And welcome in live into the studio. Okay, Vikings Bears tonight. Let's go. Monday Night Football. Vikings are 5-15 at Soldier Field in the last 20 years. 5-15 at Soldier Field, but they're playing the replacements tonight. It's literally the replacements. Keanu Reeves is going to start at wide receiver. No, it's more like the secondary. The Bears secondary, 5 starters that played last week, 5 starters in that nickel package, they're gone. The Bears have an entire new secondary tonight. So this is it. Vikings win tonight, 7-7, and they would be the 7th seed in the playoffs. Can you believe that? Chris Schad covering it, zonecoverage.com. Bring me the news as well, Vikings writer Chris Schad here on the Nate Brown Show. Chris, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing tonight, Nate?
Well, I'm doing good. So I said a couple of things here. The Vikings have everything in their favor. Everything. Zimmer, 8-3 against rookie quarterbacks. The Bears secondary is totally depleted. They got 8 guys playing tonight off the practice squad. They brought them up today off the practice squad. So the Vikings are playing for the playoffs. Nothing should go wrong tonight, right?
You know, that's kind of the thought process of being a Vikings fan. You know, even when things look to be in your favor, you sit there and you go, how can we screw this up? Like, you're looking at things like John DeFilippo might be helping calling plays tonight in that revenge game, or Mike Zimmer might run the ball 40 times with Dalvin Cook and his 2 bad shoulders. I mean, this team just doesn't do things that make things easier on itself, and that's why they're in the position they're in, where they're 6-7 and need to get this win tonight just to move into the playoffs. And even that might be short-lived because Washington plays Philadelphia tomorrow, so you still could be on the outside looking in, even if you do manage to get a win tonight, which they absolutely should. But it is the Vikings.
Okay, I know that, and Soldier Field not friendly. I mean, those numbers, 5-15 at Soldier Field the last 20 years. It's not like the Bears have been juggernauts the last 20 years. What's the story there?
I don't know if it's just in their head or not. I mean, the players have changed, but it just seems like every time the Vikings go to Soldier Field, something weird happens. Like Chad Hutchinson has the best game of his career, or, you know, Jay Cutler comes out of nowhere to just shred the Viking defense. Like, I'm looking at this game trying to find out where that storyline is. And like I said, DeFilippo calling plays. I mean, remember, him and Zimmer got into a heated feud at the end of the 2018 season where Zimmer wanted to run the ball. DeFilippo wanted to chuck it all over the place, and he wound up getting fired because of that. So, I mean, Justin Fields, you have that fiasco where the Vikings tried to trade up for him, but they didn't do anything too aggressively to actually make the deal happen. And again, like, you can look at the Bears thing all you want, the Soldier Field thing. This is just a team that's been really weird. No matter what they do, it always comes down to one possession. You know, backup secondary in, last-second field goal. 29-0 lead. You know, Steelers have a chance to tie the game on the final play of the game.
It's amazing.
Like,
amazing.
It's bizarre, and I don't know how you counteract that, but yeah, going to Soldier Field, especially in prime time, that's not ideal for this team.
Chris Schad on tonight, Vikings writer, Zone Coverage, bring me the news. Are you scared of Justin Fields? He's kind of an X factor for me. I'm looking at it objectively going, there's a lot of things going wrong for the Bears. I think Justin Fields is not one of those. That's kind of an X factor tonight for me. Justin Fields against not a great Vikings defense.
On talent alone, I would say Justin Fields has everything you need to succeed in the NFL. He's got the big arm, he's got the mobility and everything else. Matt Nagy has just proven to be an inept head coach. And I think that with the Bears especially, like they're trying to run his offense and put a square peg in a round hole, basically. And I think that if Fields were on the Vikings, it'd be interesting how much different the scenario would be, because the Vikings wanted to get somebody with a big arm and a, you know, sense of mobility. That's why they took Kellen Mond in the 3rd round. But as far as tonight goes, I mean, Justin Fields is also going to be without Allen Robinson, I believe. You have Darnell Mooney, their top target there. But the Vikings, too, they have questions in their own secondary. They released Bashaud Breeland after that incident on Saturday, which was wild. Cameron Dantzler is going to come in. He's the only Viking cornerback on the roster that has not allowed a passer rating over 100 this season, according to Pro Football Focus, and he has the highest coverage grade on the team. But yet Zimmer has been reluctant to play him. So with a bigger sample size, I'm curious as to how he's going to do. And then, you know, I think Patrick Peterson will be on Mooney. So, I mean, if Fields can make the plays, and the weird thing is they haven't been using him on designed runs, which I think they could really take advantage of if the Bears were smart, but they have not proven to be that so far this season. If if Fields is able to make some easy throws early, get some confidence, and start working against the secondary, I think he can do some damage, but there's just so much going against the Bears tonight. But again, I sound like a broken record. It is the Vikings, so we don't know what to expect.
No, I know that. Chris Shadow on Vikings Bears preview, zonecoverage.com writer. Bashaud Breeland, you just mentioned it there a little bit, and I think sometimes it's the holidays, people are busy, this and that. Some people are like, what? Starting corner, Bashaud Breeland, he's played a lot, and he gets waived on the weekend. What's the real story?
Well, according to ESPN's Courtney Cronin, apparently he was watching some film with some coaches, didn't like what he heard. They went to practice. The coaches actually pulled him because he kept doing the same thing. And he just said, screw it, I'm going to change out of my cleats. So he went to the locker room, put his street shoes on, went back out to the field. Coaches didn't like that, so he started jawing at the coaches. Players got involved. Dalvin Cook was reportedly one of them. And then apparently Rick Spielman had to get involved at the end. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to mess with a guy who puts his pants on by putting his pants on over his shoes, which kind of seems like kind of weird behavior. So, I mean, you know, there might be some skeletons there, but dragged him up to the thing, cut him. And to be honest, Breeland has been one of the worst signings in an offseason that has been filled with flops so far. Breeland was one of the worst cornerbacks in the NFL. I believe it was like 80th out of 82nd according to Pro Football Focus.
He's bad this year.
Yeah. And then you mix in the off-the-field stuff where he's fighting with fans on Twitter. He's kind of jawing back and forth. Like, it really should be addition by subtraction, but it all opens things up for Cameron Dantzler. And if he can step into this lineup and show kind of what he did at the end of last season before he got hurt, I think the Vikings defense will be a little bit better, and it'll start tonight in Chicago.
Okay, Chris Shadow on tonight. Vikings-Bears, Monday Night Football tonight. It is a biggie for the Vikings. Get them right in the playoff race again, somehow, some way, to get to 7-7. If Kirk Cousins doesn't have a big day, what are people going to say tomorrow? Because it's a primetime game. I already got a couple of texts about it here on the listener line. Oh, Kirk in primetime. Here we go. If Kirk doesn't have a huge game, what are we going to say tomorrow?
I think we're all going to look at what happens at the end of the season with Kirk. He's going in next year with a $45 million cap hit. We've talked about this on the show a little bit. I mean, you're playing against a backup Walmart secondary. And if you're not able to take advantage of that and get the ball to Justin Jefferson, he'll be without Adam Thielen tonight, but that should not matter because just throw it in 18's direction and he will catch it, especially against, I think one of the guys' names is Bo Pete. Like, I don't even know his last name. His first name is Bo Pete, which is just wild to me. So, I mean, if he throws a pick six to Bo Pete, then people are going to start looking at options during the offseason. And I don't know about this draft class. I mean, people are saying it's pretty weak. Then you have the trade options, and they don't look too good. If, you know, the guy that I would look at is Deshaun Watson if his legal situation checks out. But obviously that's going to come with some heat because of his situation. So I don't know. I think a lot of speculation will happen as to what happens with the quarterback position and the head coach and general manager position because they're all tied in together. I think all three pieces have kind of been been correlated throughout this because everybody wants to blame one person. But I think it's Mike Zimmer, Rick Spielman, and Kirk Cousins. They're kind of this triangle of pain that have sent the Vikings into mediocrity.
It comes to tonight. It really does to me. It comes down to tonight. They have Rams, they have Packers, they have Bears again. I think it's tonight to stay in the playoffs. You lose, it's all over. Chris Shadd on tonight, zonecoverage.com, Vikings writer, Vikings Bears coming up. Intriguing. Thanks, Chris. Always appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks, Nate.
Appreciate it. Chris Shadd tonight on the Nate Brown Show, Fox Sports Rapid City, zonecoverage.com, and Bring Me the News, Vikings writer here on the Nate Brown Show tonight. And it was like yesterday with my Broncos. You know, I said, this is the one. You win, it might be really, really interesting for the Broncos. Then they get the Raiders. Maybe they're able to pick off the Chargers on the road later. And might have been able to somehow get in the playoffs, somehow, some way. I think that's over. The Broncos are done. Tonight, the Vikings win. I'm liking a potential chance here. I'm liking a potential chance because of who else is there. Saints, limited with Taysom Hill. Well, they won last night. I understand. 9-0. I got it. Very, very limited. Not worried about them. Washington football team, average. Average, maybe not quite. Not too worried about them. They'll take out the Eagles, or the Eagles will take out Washington football team tomorrow. So the Vikings tonight put themselves at 7-7. If they win tonight, they are the 7th seed in the playoffs with 3 weeks left. Tough games, though. Rams, I don't love it, but it's winnable, especially if you bounce in tonight and you have some pep in the step, get rolling tonight. Packers, don't love that at Lambeau, obviously. And then you got the Bears again as well. 3 games left, and I like that. So this is it tonight for the Vikings. It really is. Tonight, they got to beat up on the Bears. I got to tell you, in the Drive at 5 here, I got some things to discuss, okay? What should we really think about the analytics being thrown around in these NFL big-time decisions that are made? Quick, split-second decisions that are winning or losing games, and it's based off of, well, if you calculate it out, most of the time we're going to win by doing this. What would you do? What would you do? These analytics are coming into the game more and more, and it's big-time decisions. Big-time decisions. We'll break that down. Plus this came out. A college coach went up and said, here's the 3 things I'm looking at when I'm recruiting a high school athlete. So, hey, parents, everybody, listen, okay? This is a college coach today said, I'm looking for 3 things when I'm recruiting a high school athlete. Those 3 in my question of the day, which is most important, next.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Nate Brown Show and like us on Facebook by searching Fox Sports Rapid City.
We're all going somewhere. Going higher, faster, farther. Going in new directions, to new places. At Monument Health, we keep going so you can keep going. We're dedicated to advanced orthopedic care with the latest innovations, technology, expertise, and treatment. So keep exploring, keep making memories, keep going with Monument Health as your partner. Learn more at monument.health/orthopedics.
The Rapid City Rush are back. On December 27th and 29th, the Rush take on the Utah Grizzlies. Then it's a New Year's celebration on Friday, December 31st. Join the Rush for Marvel Night featuring Black Widow presented by CSL Plasma. The team will wear specialty jerseys with a post-game jersey auction and will be celebrating New Year's Eve with family-friendly festivities. There will also be a Marvel poster giveaway. Then start the year off right with our New Year's Day game presented by Your Home Improvement Company. Rapid City Rush. Next chapter, same goal.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City. This is the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
Double your cheer this holiday season with Black Hills Federal Credit Union. From November 15th to December 31st, get double cash back or points on qualifying purchases with your BHFCU Cashback or Signature Rewards credit card. That's 3% cash back or 2 points per dollar spent. Learn more at bhfcu.com/double or text or call 605-718-1818. Some restrictions apply. BHFCU is a member-owned, not-for-profit.
Insurance. We all need it to protect our homes, health, businesses, and belongings. But having adequate coverage is just the beginning. You also need the support of professionals who stand by your side to protect what's important to you. Fisher Rounds & Associates combines the coverage you want with the commitment you need. Fisher Rounds & Associates. At your service, at your side. With offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Watertown, Sioux Falls, and Rapid City.
Hey, Rapid City, it's Doug Gottlieb. Join me weekdays from 1 to 4 right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports, Rapid City. And now let's get you back to the Nate Brown Show, Rapid City's sports talk show.
All right, welcome in Christmas week. Christmas week on the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Big Monday night here. Vikings, Bears coming up tonight. Well, the Jackrabbits couldn't get it done in the FCS semifinals, 3 straight road games, and they couldn't win at Montana State. It looked like they were in control to me. It really did early on. I watched that whole game Saturday. I thought they were running it and getting anything they wanted. They were averaging over 8 yards a carry early on. And then that water got shut off, and the Jacks go down to Montana State. We'll get reaction. 2 big headlines out of the Jackrabbit football program today now. Today. Matt Zimmer coming up. He covered the game in Bozeman. Jacks lose to Montana State. FCS National Championship. North Dakota State, imagine that, against Montana State in Frisco. Matt Zimmer's on tap here in the Drive at 5 of the Nate Brown Show, brought to you by Summit Automotive Group, summitautogrp.com. Take a look at their new selection right now, summitautogrp.com. Before you buy, give Summit a try. Car buying truly built around you. In the Drive at 5, I got a question of the day. I'm going to get to that with this Division I college coach saying he looks at 3 things when he recruits athletes. Now, that's just one guy, but it kind of gives you a glimpse. I like what he says, and it gives you a glimpse if you're a sports parent or you're having some kids that are coming up along the way. He looks at 3 things when he's looking at a high school athlete recruiting-wise. It might surprise you. That's straight ahead. I wonder which one you think is most important. I want to jump on this really quick. So the Ravens yesterday lose to the Packers, okay? I'm watching the end of that game. The Ravens storm back. They were down 31-17. They storm back, and they have a chance to tie it. And instead, John Harbaugh goes for 2, and they lose. And it was the old roll out to the short side of the field with nowhere to go. I mean, what a disaster that was. Roll out to the short side of the field. I love when I see my quarterback do that. Limit his options. And end of story. So the Packers sneak away the 1-point victory, and the Ravens do that whole thing. They've used analytics a lot. John Harbaugh's gone for 4th down a ton, doesn't kick field goals sometimes when maybe you think he should use Justin Tucker, the best kicker in the NFL. And so he said, well, after the game, if you calculate that out, we're probably going to have a better chance to win it there than in overtime. What if you calculate what out? That moment in time? That specific moment in time? I mean, we always grab, well, this may work and that might work, and because it works for sometimes these 2-point conversions. And we always bring this in like these coaches are MIT grads. we're looking at, well, these guys know exactly when to call this and what to do here. The Ravens are in a playoff race. You can't tell me if they kick the extra point. Justin Tucker, most accurate kicker, it may surprise you, most accurate kicker, kick the extra point. You don't know what's going to happen in overtime. As a matter of fact, you had all the momentum. Storm back with 2 straight TDs. I mean, we rely so much now, not just, okay, maybe take some easy points. Let's give our team another chance to fight another day. No, let's make it all or break, all or nothing, on a quick split-second decision. Well, I think people just grab at that now and say, well, if the analytics say to do that, I think we should. It happens in baseball. It happened to the Chargers on Thursday night where they left 9 points on the board and lost in overtime to the Chiefs. How many more times we had the Chargers lost due to analytics? The Ravens lost. Well, most of the time it's going to work out. Well, back-to-back times now it hasn't. And the Ravens are in a playoff race, and you take it down to one moment. There's no more, well, let's see the dynamics of the game. Let's get a feel for where we're at. Let's have an opportunity potentially to extend the game. Sometimes that works out. Okay? It's not about blaming, if you go for the win, you'd be a hero. No. The deal is I just want to make sure that I'm getting some easy points. The 2-point conversions, you can look at them. This percentage says this. Take your percentages, and now it'll take the Ravens potentially out of the AFC North crown. Potentially. We always look at, well, this is what happens most of the time. Most of the time. There's no more feel for the game anymore. Listener text, the head coaches are using the analytics as the scapegoat because it doesn't put blame on themselves for the mistake they make. It's a great take. Great take. Just absolutely outstanding. It's that's well, this decision, that's decision. Well, most of the time, I think if you calculate that out, we're going to get that. You storm back in the game. You could have taken it to overtime. There's so many factors in overtime, you don't know how that's going to play out. I'm giving my team an even Steven chance. New game starts now, not split second, 2-yard line, roll out to the short side of the field. A mess. Well, analytics told me it probably would have worked out most of the time. It's a great take. A great take. Head coaches are doing it. Baseball managers are doing it. Well, the numbers say it'd work out. Chargers lost. Ravens lost. I like easy points. Sometimes you win with those. May not be as cool, as risky, as gutsy, as analytic-y. Sometimes you can win. And now you lose. By the way, here's what a college football coach says. I shouldn't say college football coach. A college coach. A college coach says this about recruiting high school athletes. He looks at three things. Does this surprise you? Recruiting a high school athlete, a college coach says this. I look at three things. His grades in school, how his parents act, and how he acts in practice. You heard those three things? Sports parents or athletes coming up. Division I coach looks at three major things. Not looking at the stats, hasn't looked at the video yet, hasn't looked at your huddle film yet, hasn't looked at how many youth basketball games you won here on this team or that team. Right now, he's looking at three things. Grades in school, how his parents act, and how he acts in practice. Hasn't even looked at the game film yet. Do you buy that? That's the three things the coach said. I wonder which one of those, if you were doing the recruiting, which is most important to you? If you were doing the recruiting, which is most important to you? I'm recruiting a high school athlete. I'm running a college program. Here's who I want on my team. Am I looking at the grades, number one? The action and attitude in practice, or how the parents are as well? Where do you stand on the question of the day? 720-1067. I'm interested in this. College coach says there's the three big things I start with, okay? Which one do you think's most important? Answers coming in. 59% of you say I would look at how they act in practice. If you're recruiting a kid, you want to see how they are in practice. 59%. 33%, the grades in school start there. 8%, how his parents act. Interesting scenario came out from a college coach doing some high school recruiting, saying, I know there's a lot of factors. Here's three of them. How you act in practice, how the parents are, and the grades in school. Take that for what it's worth. Coming right back with Matt Zimmer. Two big headlines out of the Jackrabbit football program today. Just a couple of days after they lost in the semifinals. Talk to Matt Zimmer live from Sioux Falls. Cover the Jackrabbits and Montana State game Saturday. He's live next.
The Nate Brown Show.
At Terrell Tires in the Speed Center, we let our customers do the talking.
Very well-maintained tire and speed shop. Over-the-top service and very reasonably priced. Need I say more?
Scott and crew at Terrell Tires have always gone over and beyond for us. Great prices for great tires. Also, anytime we've needed odd-sized tires for ranch equipment, Scott gets us what we need.
Great customer service. Spent plenty of time answering all of our questions, and the truck looks awesome with the new rims.
Terrell Tires and the Speed Center, 105 North Campbell Street, Rapid City.
Are new windows from Renewal by Andersen a great investment? You're darn right they are. Did you know that for less than your cable bill or cell phone bill each month, you could have new windows from Renewal by Andersen right now? Do the math. Renewal by Andersen windows will likely cut your energy bills significantly. They will likely substantially increase the value of your home. They're a great investment. Please contact our team now and ask about our fantastic financing options with approved credit right now. Renewal by Anderson, a great investment? You're darn right.
Resort says goodbye to 2021 and hello to 2022 with their annual $46,000 New Year's weekend promo play around the clock giveaway. December 31st through January 2nd. Win $1,000 in promo play every 30 minutes through hot seat drawings. Plus at 12:30 a.m. on New Year's Day, one lucky player will win the grand prize of $7,200 in promo play. It's the $46,000 promo play around the clock giveaway. New Year's weekend at First Gold Gaming Resort. Your first stop on Main Street as you're coming into Deadwood.
Physical therapy, athletic training, and sports science all at one place. Physio in Rapid City. Dr. Dan Jensen and his team at Physio are ready to help you perform at your best. From the youth athlete to the active adult, trust the team at Physio. Physio offers the skilled, personalized approach to physical therapy and athletic training, building the best athletes in the Black Hills as the official strength and conditioning provider for Stevens, Central, and the Rapid City Rush. Learn more at bhphysio.com.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hey, welcome back in on a Monday, the Nate Brown Show back. We talked Vikings Bears early on. We hit through the NFL headlines, including Tom Brady going scorched earth last night on the officials and the Saints coaching staff. Does Tom Brady get special treatment? My question of the day. Should he have been flagged last night for that? Dropping some bombs at the refs and the coaches on the sideline, on the Saints sideline? Something tells me if that was a linebacker for the Saints or something like that, that flag would have been flying. Would have been flying last night. Check the Nate Brown Show podcast if you missed the opening hour. The podcast will be up tonight. You can listen to it at your own convenience where you download your podcast. The Nate Brown Show bringing in Matt Zimmer. He's back from Montana. That's a long trip for him. Long trip. Nice trip, though. It's a nice trip, if that helps at all. The Jackrabbits go up and lose to Montana State in the FCS semifinals. Jackrabbits fall short of a national championship. They made it to the title game in the spring. They fall one game short now, and now it's NDSU Montana State. Matt Zimmer covered the game, ArgusLeader.com. Good column there right now in the Jackrabbits season. Matt, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm good, Nate. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I hope you're rested up a little bit. Long trip for you. I got to tell you, I'm watching that game, okay? You're there, but I'm watching it. I'm watching every play, and I go, Jackrabbits are in control. I mean, I'm looking at some of the drives in the first quarter. They're in control, averaging 8.5 yards a carry. They're just running Montana State over, and I'm going, this feels like the Jackrabbit offensive line and running game. This is gonna be the Jackrabbits game. It felt that way to me. Did it to you early on, or was that just we're trying to get a feel for things?
No, I mean, it was pretty obvious the first quarter and a half or so that the Jacks offense was kind of having their way with them a little bit. And obviously, you know, the first drive, they get the ball and they move down the field. They get inside the 10, and on 4th and 1, you know, I don't really blame them for going for it. I mean, they have the two best running backs in the country. You'd like to think when you got the two best running backs in the country and as good offensive line as they have, you can get 1 yard. But I was thinking there, geez, you know, you're on the road in a hostile environment, 20,000 fans, take the points, you know, make it 3-0. And, you know, easy to play, you know, hindsight 2020 and all that, but they get stuffed on 4th and 1. And right there, it just kind of felt like, man, you know, is that going to be one of those plays where, you know, it comes back to bite you, where momentum changes? And that kind of happened. And they continued to move the ball after that. But it just kind of felt like that was their one chance to sort of establish control, silence the crowd, and they missed out on it. You know, obviously they came back later to take a lead, but it never quite felt the same after that. And as the two teams kind of dug in and got into a little bit of a dogfight, you know, I just think by the end of it, it looked like Montana State was the better team. You know, I mean, they weren't really trying to fool anybody. It was pretty obvious that their game plan was going to be running the ball with their quarterback, and the Jacks could not stop touchdown Tommy. You know, they had plenty of chances to adjust, and they just couldn't do it. And they would tell you that they made a bunch of mistakes and all missed tackles and all sorts of things. But in a game where there wasn't a turnover until late in the game when Oladokun threw an interception, it just felt like, especially playing at home, that Montana State was just a better team.
It was wild to me. As I said, it looked like South Dakota State early on was more physical, and then Montana State, you talked about it, Tommy Mellott, this quarterback, he's had a Butte, Montana, kind of an unsung hero, steps in, the team's rallied behind him. He seemed like a gamer. I mean, not a great thrower, but he throws it up to these 6'4", 6'5" wide receivers. They're catching it one-on-one out there. The Jackrabbit defense looks scattered in the secondary and out-physicaled there in the second half up front.
Yeah, I mean, the Bobcats just did what you would want to do, establish the run, and once they got the run going, then they were able to hit him over the top with the pass. Early on, Tommy, he missed a couple really easy throws, and it's kind of like, geez, maybe this guy can't throw it. And then right after you say that, right after I tweeted that, he hits a deep ball for a big play, and then he kind of was able to get in a rhythm. It's funny. It reminded me so much of what South Dakota State did in the spring season when Mark Gronowski was their quarterback. Gronowski was, probably not quite as good of a passer as Chris Oladokun or Taron Christian or some of the other quarterbacks they've had, but he was a great runner, essentially a running back playing quarterback who, once you kind of were like, geez, okay, we got to find a way to stop this guy, that was when he would drop back and hit you with a pass over the top. And it was kind of jarring to see the Jacks just sort of beaten at their own game, exactly what they were doing to teams in the spring. And, I definitely think you're onto something, too, with Montana State rallying around this kid. I mean, they had an upperclassman playing quarterback all through the regular season, and towards the end of the year, he sort of hit a wall a little bit. They start giving some reps to the young guy, to Tommy Mellott, and the older guy just quits. And, it's stunning to me that a guy would do that and kind of leave his team high and dry like that. But I think it did have that sort of impact on the team that they said, all right, fine, we're going to rally around this kid and find a way to move forward, and that's exactly what they've done. And by the end of the game, I mean, that was a pretty convincing win. And again, I think being at home, having that environment and everything, just the way, they were coming off a huge win over the defending national champion, while the Jacks, I'm not trying to make any excuses for them and say that they were tired or anything like that, because they refused to make those excuses themselves. But you just had to wonder, all these weeks in a row of traveling and playing week after week after week all over the country, if it was eventually going to either catch up to them or just their luck was going to run out, or however you want to put it. And it kind of felt like that's what happened.
Matt Zimmer on tonight covered the game. Jackrabbits lose to Montana State on Saturday afternoon in the FCS semifinals. Now the Jackrabbits lose, what's the number, 21 seniors? Do I have that right? 21 seniors. Pierre Strong Jr. Announces he's going to go to the NFL draft. How big of a hole here with these players?
Yeah, there's a ton of guys moving on. I mean, I think because of the COVID thing, it's a little unclear exactly who's coming and going, because some of those guys, like Pierre Strong, does have another year of eligibility if he wants it. He announced today he's not. He's entering the NFL draft. I think most of those seniors that basically the ones they've recognized on senior day are moving on. There might be a few guys that are sticking around, but you look at, that entire defensive line is moving on. Some key members of the offensive line are moving on. Pierre Strong, obviously one of the best players in school history, is graduating. Logan Backus, one of the greatest defensive players in school history, is moving on. Don Gardner, an All-American cornerback. There's a ton to replace. So on the one hand, you kind of look at it and go, how are these guys ever going to possibly, get back on the horse and come back next year? On the other, they've made the playoffs 10 years in a row, and they've done that by, consistently bringing in recruiting classes that are ready to plug those holes. And then, honestly, James Madison and Sam Houston are leaving FCS after this year. And, there's been a steady stream of contenders that have moved up to the FBS level. How many other contenders are there going to be? So definitely the Jacks are going to have a ton of questions, but they will get Mark Gronowski back. Isaiah Davis will be coming back. The Yankee twins at receiver are coming back. They're loaded at tight end. A couple of their best offensive linemen are still underclassmen. So, yeah, they're moving on a ton of great players, but they got a lot of great players coming back, too. So it'll be really interesting to see what spring ball looks like, because now, obviously, knock on wood, we're kind of back to sort of a normal schedule. Maybe we'll have a normal spring football to get a look at sort of what they have coming back. And then, like I said, with all those guys moving on, I would still expect them to be in the hunt when, we come back in September.
How about this other headline? Pierre Strong is going to go to the NFL, great running back. But Jason Eck, offensive coordinator, did a lot of good work with that offensive line. He's the new head coach at Idaho. Kind of saw it coming, but it's announced now, and how big of a loss there?
I think it's a pretty big loss. For the last 10 years, basically during this run where they've gone to the playoffs every year, the Jacks have always had, a lot of star power, particularly on offense. You can go all the way back to the Zach Zenners and Jake Winicke's and those guys. But the one thing that was kind of missing, the one thing that separated North Dakota State from South Dakota State was the play in the trenches, and specifically the offensive line. The Jacks just did not match up. And when Jason was brought in here 6 years ago, that's what his job was. Get us to the level that North Dakota State is on the offensive line. And he did that. And that was the biggest thing that he brought to that team. But then when Eric Eisness moved on, he became the offensive coordinator. And I think he did a really nice job of bringing some creativity and some swagger to that offense. I mean, anyone who is around the Jacks program regularly or even follows some of their social media type of stuff knows that Jason's a kind of a larger-than-life. He's a gregarious personality, a guy who's not afraid to mix it up and, interact with fans and even opposing fans and teams and that kind of thing. And he's kind of the guy who I think sort of had head coach written all over him. So it's not surprising that he's leaving. But he's going to leave a hole, both as the offensive line coach and as just a guy on that staff who brought a lot of personality that I think had a real positive impact on that program.
Matt Zimmer covered the Jackrabbits, ArgusLeader.com. Jacks fall short. Now it's Montana State, North Dakota State. Everybody's going to pick the Bison, of course. I'm not so sure. I mean, Montana State beating Sam Houston on the road, beating the Jacks, another great team. This new quarterback in there, it's really interesting. What do you think of the January 8th game in Frisco?
I mean, I like the Bison just because I think I said on your show last week I never pick against them, basically. When you've won as many championships as they have and have the experience they do and the confidence they do as a program. And I do think there's a good chance that you give that coaching staff 3 weeks to watch what, Tommy Mellott and that offense just did to the Jacks. I think they're going to have time to prepare for that and figure out a way to stop it. Having said that, I'm just not that impressed with North Dakota State's offense. You saw it in their semifinal game against James Madison. They basically had to have their fullback carry them to victory in that game. They don't have the strength at quarterback and some of those other positions that they've had in the past. And Montana State's defense, as we saw, how they shut down SDSU in the second half, how they slowed their running game. I mean, Daniel Hardy as the pass rusher, Troy Anderson, the linebacker, that is an outstanding defense. So I think it could be a really low-scoring game. And the lower scoring the game it is, I think the more that benefits Montana State. So I think it's going to be a good game. I'll pick the Bison, but I wouldn't be shocked if Montana State played, especially if they play as well as they did against the Jacks.
How about this? Montana State did not play a season last year in the COVID mess. Jackrabbits they ended up playing 25 games, right, Matt? Is that the number in this year?
Yep, 25 games.
How much does that wear and tear? I mean, excuses can be thrown around, but 25 games in a year.
I don't know. I mean, I think in comparing it to Montana State, at least, I think it's a little bit of a wash. Montana State took a whole year off. Not playing football for a year, that's got to hurt your program. I don't see any way that that's a good thing to just not play for a year. But yeah, I think SDSU was definitely a little bit beaten down after playing 25 games. But having said that, it was Montana State that had a bunch of injuries going into that game. Their All-American running back didn't play. Troy Anderson, the linebacker, was questionable. He ended up playing great.
Yeah.
But they had like 4 or 5 starters or key players that didn't play in that game, whereas the Jacks had pretty much everyone ready to go. So I think we all wondered how the COVID year, the teams that didn't play or barely played, how that would impact them. Like I said, in Montana State's case, I think there were probably pluses and minuses. It probably meant that they weren't nearly as beat up as the Jacks were, at least over the long haul. But also, the Jacks had 25 games. All that time, you would like to think that those guys are pretty sharp and dialed in and know how to execute what they're doing, and that could have given them an advantage too.
Yeah, it was a competitive game, no doubt, but Montana State controlled it in the second half. Surprised me. Matt Zimmer covered it, made the long trip to Montana and back. ArgusLeader.com, Argus Matt Z on Twitter. Matt, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
You bet, Nate. See ya.
Thanks a lot. Matt Zimmer, good to talk to him all season long. Now he's on to basketball. ArgusLeader.com, Jackrabbits beat writer live from Sioux Falls. Jackrabbits lose in the semis. Sam Houston, who won the national championship in the spring, they lose in the quarterfinals to Montana State. So now you got the regular customer there, the Bison, trying to win 9 out of the last 10 national championships. How about that? If the Bison win in Frisco January 8th, that's the game, that's 9 out of the last 10 national championships. But guess what? I'm taking the Bobcats. We're rolling with the Bobcats. We got the Montana State pennant up in the studio. My home state, Montana. I'm rolling with the Bobcats. Surprise, surprise. Thanks for calling. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate, how you doing today, buddy?
What's up, man?
Well, I was going to ask you if you were a Montana or Montana State guy, but you just answered that question for me. And then basically what it amounts to, like, I'm an NDSU guy, but basically they're the evil Empire Patriots at this point.
Yes,
so,
yes.
like, I'm actually pulling for Montana State because of the whole quarterback situation. Because, like, they just got the rug ripped out from under them, and they still won. And, like, I admire
like that
a
story.
plucky underdog.
Yeah, you like that
100%.
story.
Yeah.
I love the story. I really do. I really do. Butte, Montana kid comes in. The team rallies around. It's a good story. Now, it might not mean much to the Bison, so we shall see, right?
Good, very good.
Vikings
well, good
tonight?
luck.
Vikings tonight? Huh? Come on.
You're going to make me say it. Yes, they'll win. They'll win. They'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Because I said that, they're going to lose.
Enjoy the night.
Yeah,
all
you
right,
too, buddy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. McJudgerson in, the NDSU guy who says, wouldn't it be great for a Montana State story to win the national championship? This new quarterback, Tommy Millott, he's out of Butte, Montana. I'll tell you, man, Butte, you got to be tougher than a $2 steak there in Butte. I'll tell you. Okay, I know Montana well. And so he asked me, were you a Montana or Montana State guy? That's an interesting question for somebody that grew up in Montana. So the whole state is either one or the other. And I mean, it captivates the whole state up there. It's a little different than South Dakota. We have this East River, West River thing. And so we're like, it's not a total Jackrabbits or Coyotes thing. It's an East River, West River thing. Up there, it's a Grizz Bobcats thing. And which was I in Montana? Which was I? I have to admit, I was a Montana Grizzlies fan when I was younger. Why? Well, they had some unbelievable teams. Guy by the name of Dave Dickinson was the quarterback, and they made some national championship runs back in the day. Don Reed, a legendary head coach. So as a younger guy, what do? You jump the bandwagon a little bit. Montana State, they haven't been in a national championship since 1984. Since 1984. So the Bobcats were always an afterthought up there. And then as I got older, I realized I'm not either. I'm a Wyoming Cowboy fan. Let's go, Pokes. Yes. Okay, you all know why, right? Okay, listener text coming in. Hashtag Go Bison. Oh, please. 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 You want to see 9 out of the last 10 national championships? Isn't it getting boring? Montana State. Tommy. Touchdown Tommy. I like it. I didn't love the win over the Jacks. They had it. I mean, they were in control. I thought, this is Jackrabbit football right here. And it went south in a hurry. Couldn't stop touchdown Tommy in that offense. Coming right back, let's go high school basketball. Okay, high school basketball. There was a big win Saturday night here in town. We'll talk to the winning coach in the Rapid City rivalry next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
At Terrell Tires in the Speed Center, we let our customers do the talking.
Very well-maintained tire and speed shop. Over-the-top service and very reasonably priced. Need I say more?
Scott and crew at Terrell Tires have always gone over and beyond for us. Great prices for great tires. Also, anytime we've needed odd-sized tires for ranch equipment, Scott gets us what we need.
Great customer service. Spent plenty of time answering all of our questions, and the truck looks awesome with the new rims.
Terrell Tires in the Speed Center, 105 North Campbell Street, Rapid City.
Are new windows from Renewal by Andersen a great investment? You're darn right they are. Did you know that for less than your cable bill or cell phone bill each month, you could have new windows from Renewal by Andersen right now? Do the math. Renewal by Andersen windows will likely cut your energy bills significantly. They will likely substantially increase the value of your home. They're a great investment. Please contact our team now and ask about our fantastic financing options with approved credit right now. Renewal by Andersen, a great investment? You're darn right.
For nearly 100 years, Connex has been providing the know-how and materials to help their neighbors grow. Through partnerships with builders, homeowners, and contractors, Connect Home Centers have impacted our communities, making them stronger and safer through support of local organizations and neighborhood beautification projects. Improving the quality of life for others is important to us. We are Connect Home Center, your hometown lumberyard lending a helping hand in building our communities since 1928.
We all know life's busy, and if you get sick, you can get behind pretty quick. That's where Black Hills Urgent Care comes in. No appointments needed, no long waits, just fast, affordable care to get you feeling better quicker. Black Hills Urgent Care has 2 locations in Rapid City on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Your sports, your show, from high school sports to college to the NFL. We got you covered tonight. All of it tonight right here on Fox Sports Rapid City. Remember the Nate Brown Show podcast. You can listen to the podcast when you have time, right? Download it where you get your podcasts. All your favorite podcasts, we're out there. The Nate Brown Show podcast, up and rolling. We'll get it up there tonight. We're live right now. High school basketball, Rapid City Central and Rapid City Stevens in the girls matchup Saturday. I took my daughters to that one, and I say, hey, watch now. Watch how these players play, how they get coached, okay? Good stuff Saturday night. The Cobbler girls go in and beat Stevens on the road. Rapid City Central is undefeated. Their head coach is Alan Bertram, back on the Nate Brown Show. Coach, good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to be on, buddy.
Well, let me ask you about that game. Saturday, I'm watching it. You guys, back and forth we go. Then you get control in the fourth quarter. You get up by 12 pretty late, and then it got dicey. And you hang on. So 2 things. What'd you learn there, and what was the reaction when you did hang on?
Well, obviously whenever you have 2 really good basketball teams playing against each other, it's going to be a testament of wills. And, we were fortunate enough in the second half to really do a much better job on the boards, and that really allowed us to limit Stevens' opportunities to score. And I thought defensively in the second half we were really solid. That led to a 12-point lead. And I think part of it, down the stretch, our first 2 games of the year were blowout wins, where our kids never had to be put in difficult situations or face a lot of adversity. And we've got a lot of new faces, a lot of inexperience on the floor, especially at the guard position. And when it got tight, and Stevens, to their credit, caused a couple turnovers and hit some shots. And so our girls did not necessarily handle that in the best way. But the beautiful thing about it is they were able to survive it, and they were able to come away with the win. And really, that's how you learn as a young player. You have to be put in those situations to be able to grow and learn from it. And when you're able to walk away from a win against a really good basketball team, it's just a bonus.
This bunch hasn't beaten Stevens. How big was that for them?
Well, I think it's always big when you beat a good team. And I know, the Central Stevens rivalry is a big rivalry, and this community really, truly embraces it. I think Saturday night was a great night for girls basketball to have a gym that full and to be able to support some really good quality student athletes. But for us, when I took this program over a year ago, it was about building a culture of expecting to win those games. And so, for us, it was a great win for our program, most definitely. But I hope that what it did mostly for our kids is give them the confidence that when we get into big games, big moments against good teams, that they should expect to win. And so, I think it's just one more step forward in the growth and development of our program.
Alan Bertram on, Rapid City Central girls basketball coach, talking Cobblers Raiders. I enjoyed the game. Cobblers come out on top over Stevens. When I look at it, I say your player, Josie Hill, your post player, had some big baskets there in the second half. What type of player has she developed into?
She's a special young lady, and really what is so unique about her, and even in Sadie Glade as well, both those kids last year when we left the state tournament had a really bad taste in their mouth. And one of the things we talked about going into the off season was not so much trying to make themselves better at the things that we're already good at, but what areas were they lacking in that they really could make themselves a more well-rounded player. And, Saturday night was a perfect example. There were several times where Josie's bringing the ball up the floor at 6'2", and then being able to the next trip down the floor, take you down in the post. And it just makes it very difficult. I think that was one of the best things about Saturday. A true basketball person would be able to watch and see that, Jada McNabb had to man her up the entire game. And if you watch Jada, and Jada's one of the best athletes in South Dakota, but by the end of that night, she was completely physically spent. And I think it affected her on the offensive end tremendously. And Sadie's the same way. A year and a half ago when we got her, she was simply just a dead three. She was a great three-point shooter, but that's all she did. And then, a year of hard work, and heck, she was running the point position for half the night that night. So I just think it's a testament to those kids and wanting to spend time in the gym, working on their weaknesses, and just making themselves a more well-rounded player.
So the new rankings came out tonight. Rapid City Central girls number 4. Stevens falls to number 5. You see teams and kids across the state, Coach. Rapid City girls basketball from the high school level here. How good are your two teams here? Your team and Stevens compared to AA around the state, do you believe?
I think by the end of the year, we both can be contenders. I think that we both still have some things that we got to do to get better. O'Gorman and Washington, to me, are the two best teams in South Dakota. They're just very well-rounded. They've got a multitude of just high-level guards and post players. And Brandon Valley with the Barons girl, she's one of the best players in the entire state at any class. And so those three teams, I think, are rated accordingly. I don't think us and Stevens are that far away, to be honest with you. And I just think it's a matter of, again, getting our younger players, our more inexperienced players, and players in new roles a little more accustomed to that, where those teams have kids who they return a ton of players and that are key players. And so I think they're more well-oiled going into the early part of the year. And I think that's what makes us, and I'm sure Coach Dannenberg would say the same thing, they've played very well early as well. And so it's exciting for us and Stevens as well to see the growth and the development of those programs and how well we're playing early. Because I strongly believe that we will grow a ton from now until the end of the season.
I have to say, one of the better crowds I've seen in a while for a girls' high school basketball game. Really enjoyed it. It was well played. Central beat Stevens on Saturday night. The Cobbler girls undefeated. They've got Douglas tomorrow. Head coach Alan Bertram on tonight. Coach, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Nate. We appreciate all the coverage you give, too, so keep doing great things on that.
All right, appreciate it. Good to have him on. Alan Bertram doing a nice job. The Cobbler girls beat Stevens Saturday night. Had a lot of fun. Took my daughters to that. Love seeing that. So I encourage you. The high school level here, really good when it comes to girls sports right now. You're seeing a lot of good stuff going on. And two good basketball programs that said, hey, remember, we got the AA tournament in town, the state tournament here in town this year. And I think Central and Stevens should be in the mix, I think. Central plays Douglas tomorrow. That's a doubleheader girls-boys. Stevens playing Sturgis, doubleheader girls-boys, as we bounce back to more hoops coverage tomorrow. Alan Bertram on tonight, the Cobbler head coach on the girls' side, undefeated right now. Let's take a timeout, come back with who's hot and who's not. A Wyoming football player, a Cowboy, makes my who's hot category. You better believe this. You got to hear this story, okay? You got to hear this. And you don't want to miss. I've got a who's not as well, and that's always a treat, and that's on the way.
Your sports, your show. This is the Nate Brown Show on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Rapid City in the Black Hills, if you're shopping for a new vehicle, before you buy, stop by Gateway, one of our two locations, 123 Omaha or 410 North Campbell. We specialize in credit rebuilder programs. We specialize in finding you the rarest cars in the market. We specialize in the funnest car buying experience. If you have good credit, bad credit, no problem. We specialize in people.
Gateway Autoplex with one of the largest inventories in the Black Hills. I'm Scott Hanna.
And I'm Adam Ray.
And nobody beats
a Gateway deal.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Lows around 18. Tonight, under partly cloudy skies, southwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tomorrow, highs around 39. Mainly clear skies and quiet again. Tomorrow night, lows around 27. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Wednesday, with daytime highs approaching 52. 55 Thursday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 19.
'Tis the season for Village Hearth dinner rolls. Not only are a warm basket of classic white or Dakota-style 12-grain pull-apart rolls the perfect accompaniment to holiday meals, they make a great little sandwich for a quick and easy lunch or dinner. Visit villagehearthbreads.com for recipe ideas, like chicken parmesan sliders and hot ham and cheese mini buns. Village Hearth Breads, baking our best for you.
Here at Pizza Ranch, our 40-year birthday celebration is busting out of the gate like a bucking bronco. An all-meat Bronco pizza, that is. Strap in, because we're throwing back prices to 1981 for our #1 specialty pizza all month long. $10.25 for a large, $8 for a medium, and $5.50 for a small. Need more Bronco? Enter daily at pizzaranch.com for a chance to win a 2021 Ford Bronco or other prizes. No purchase necessary and 12/31/21. See official rules at pizzaranch.com.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
All right, let's get to it on a Monday. Vikings Bears coming up. Let's go. Let's go. Who's hot and who's not on the Nate Brown Show, sending you on your way. Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. It's your game headquarters, man. PizzaRanch.com. From the wings to the chicken to the pizza, cactus spread. PizzaRanch.com. Carry out or delivery. Remember, Wednesday night, kids' night. One child 12 and under eats free for every regular priced adult at the Pizza Ranch Buffet Wednesdays. Hit it. Who's hot and who's not here on the Nate Brown Show? In my Who's Hot category, I love to see it. I love to see it. Wyoming linebacker Chad Muma. Remember the name, okay? Maybe you don't follow the Pokes like me, but Chad Muma voted the #1 defensive player in the Mountain West Conference. Wyoming linebacker Chad Muma. He's the #3 ranked linebacker in all of the country in college football by Pro Football Focus. Chad Muma is going to be an NFL draft pick, the Wyoming linebacker. And guess what? Chad Muma playing in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl tomorrow. What? What do you mean? All these NFL players. I thought if you're going to get drafted to the NFL, you're supposed to skip the bowl games. You're supposed to bail on the bowl games, right? You're supposed to. The Wyoming linebacker, senior Chad Muma, says, I'm going to finish out the season. I'm going to play in the bowl game with my teammates, and then we'll go to the Senior Bowl, and we'll go on from there. Josh Allen did the same thing 4 years ago. Josh Allen did the same thing, came back and played in the bowl game. Chad Muma's doing the same thing. Not everybody skips the bowl games. Hat tip to Chad Muma, Wyoming linebacker, playing in the Potato Bowl tomorrow. And just for that, I'm taking the Pokes over Kent State, believe me. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not category, I don't buy this. I do not buy this. Max Preps says Mater Dei, California finishes the season as the #1 ranked team in high school football in the country. Mater Dei out of California is the Max Preps national champion. Why am I not buying this? How do you crown a national champion in high school football? They do this over and over and over. Oh, Mater Dei's finished as the national champion for the second time in the last 5 years. Tell me how you get a national champion in high school football. You don't. It's worse than the BCS. You can't, well, they beat this team, they beat that team. You can't crown national champions in high school sports. You don't have a national tournament. Mater Dei, California, they're good. I'm sure they're good. They might even beat Sioux Falls. You never know. But they're not the national champions. Please. Coming back tomorrow on the Nate Brown Show at 4. We'll see you here. Check the podcast tonight. Download it. Listen at your own convenience. We'll send you with the odd couple. Vikings win tonight.